we started. Good evening, chat. Welcome. Herman, we've got Herman here this evening with Sean, who's our co-chair. Herman, good to finally have an actual chat with you, my good sir.
Yeah, thanks, Mork, and thanks for inviting me onto your live stream. And I hope
Of
this will
course,
be
dude.
informative to your listeners.
I hope so. I hope we will cover everything. I think I did mention to you I wanted to chat about some of the what is it called the foot and mouth stuff, and I think you literally said to me like, bro, that's I don't think we're going to 2 hours. We'll probably need a day or two or three
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to even start with that. So
Mork, we can, on a quick note on the foot and mouth disease. Look, it is a
yeah, let's. I mean,
major
let's
concern
let's
for
let's let's maybe start with that because a funny thing was I heard on I was like I think I heard on radio this morning on driving to work they mentioned something on the news apparently that Cape Town or someone got 8,000 more vaccines, and I was going like when I was talking to you last, it was like 2-3 weeks ago when we had a chat about it. You were going like they only supplied 20%, but the amount of cattle is like 8,000 seems like it's minuscule,
it
right?
is. It is more, unfortunately, the foot and mouth disease. Look, the disease itself is not, but people must understand,
Yeah,
it's not dangerous for humans. All right.
yeah, of course,
When
yeah,
the cattle have foot and mouth disease, you can slaughter it, you can eat the meat. Nothing's going to happen to you. All right. Secondly, the strains that we have in South Africa, there's different strains of the virus. All right,
okay,
is not detrimental always to the herd. Might be in some cattle or certain cattle, but it's not detrimental to them. The problem we have is with exporting meat. All right. So the United States is, for instance, and Australia are countries that are foot and mouth disease free.
yeah,
Now, any country in the world that are FMD free doesn't want a reintroduction of any virus or pathogen that can kill or harm their herds. All right.
I'm fine.
um, yeah. So that is where the whole consternation comes in. And unless your country is declared FMD free, you cannot export meat. Um, but if we can protect our feedlots and in South Africa, get them to vaccinate, our feedlots will at least be able to export because it's a controlled environment for the average farmer on the street. Look, we must realize that there's a lot of hype around it, around the disease. A lot of people are afraid of reporting the outbreaks on the farms because once the state
Really?
vet arrives on, yeah, because it's simple. Once the
Oh
state
shit.
vets
Oh, okay, okay,
arrive
yeah, I
on your
understand.
farm, they put you under quarantine, and then they say 3 months you're not allowed to move the cattle, you're not allowed to sell the cattle. Then another state vet says a month, and then another one says 6 months, and another one says 12 months. So there's a lot of confusion. At least now with the committee, a lot of these problems have been sorted out. But still, there's the stigma that's stuck with FMD.
Yeah,
And farmers are scared. He needs to sell his cattle. He needs to pay Eskom. He needs to make payroll at the end of the month. So it is a very long and huge topic to cover. As I said to you, it's going to take us days to cover. But in reality, when it comes to the vaccines, there's 1.5 million vaccines that came in over the weekend.
yeah,
Like I spoke to a person on Thursday last week, and he said you must understand with government procurement in a lot of sectors, not just in agriculture. It's like when a child goes into the shop, he takes his money out, buys two toffees, walks outside, eats it, looks at the money, and decides I like it. Then walks back into the shop, looks at his money, buys another toffee, walks outside and eats it. And so he continues until the money either the money runs out or he gets another stipend. So um, we must understand within F&B, and I know there's a lot of people, and I need to clarify this. All right, a lot of people are criticizing the Minister of Agriculture. Right? It's
yeah, yeah.
very easy. to get into and attack him personally. I've been seeing this thing lately in South Africa. We tended to move towards the American model of politics, where we attack the person, not the office. All right, it's more and Dov, you're stupid. You as a person are an idiot. But we need to look at the office itself that said minister or person holds. All right.
Yeah.
If you look at the complexity of the agricultural department, the minister sits at the top. All right. Then he has his DG. Then every province has a MEC of agriculture. All right. That has influence on what happens in that province. Then that province has a director general or DG that needs to decide what happens in that province. So if you look at this pyramid, in the end, we know certain provinces are run by the ANC or other political parties, and each has its agenda. Northwest, for instance, where I'm from, is one of the most poorest run provinces. And we know that. Free State. You can look. You look at provinces like the Western Cape and Mpumalanga, where they had huge success. They got the batches of vaccines in, and it was administered. We're struggling to get vaccines in Northwest. Some of our farmers and are still fighting just when a batch comes in to get the vaccine in, to get the cattle vaccinated. And I'm talking not felt cattle. I'm talking people with studs. Now, I want to protect, first of all, our dairies, our feedlots, and our studs. Your felt cattle, like mine, I have a few cattle here for meat and milk purposes. They walk in the veld, they are hardened, they are not as much a threat to the national security when it comes to meat.
Of course not.
But when our studs are affected, and these studs are put under quarantine, means that these guys cannot sell and have auctions. And this is a loss of our genetics in our trade, genetic trade. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to buy a certain bull because I need the genetics so that I can produce either better milk or better beef.
Yeah.
Now I'm set back with a year in my production because I couldn't buy the bull because this guy was under quarantine.
Yeah.
Same as areas that are under quarantine, they cannot sell the cattle. So there's a lot of complexity in this case. And I'm not involved in the cattle industry directly. I'm just saying what I get from things.
But you're so just for context, wait, well, let me just do two things, guys. We did try sort out troubleshoot Herman's mic, but I'm thinking let's just try something quickly, Herman. Just scratch the top of your microphone. That's one. You don't hear anything, eh?
Well, I mean, are you scratching or is he scratching? Are you scratching at the same time?
He's scratching. You don't hear anything. When I scratch, do you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I think, Herman, just double check quickly. There could be that your headset doesn't have a built-in microphone.
I don't think I'm on my headset's microphone. As far as I'm concerned,
that little arrow that next to the microphone thing, just click on that and you'll see right at the top, it'll says audio input. Yeah. Just click on that and see what. No. There we go.
I'm on this mic now. Now I'm on this.
Yeah,
mic.
There we go.
What I see now, it changed over to, for some stupid reason, to my live camera's microphone.
Oh, okay. I noticed there was something. Something like, dude. No, it sounds amazing now.
Now, okay, should be fine now. Sorry about
that.
Perfect.
There we go. His mic is.
I'm not a dick. I'm not.
It's fine.
I'm not a dick guy.
No, it sounds hundreds now. Now it sounds like quality. Everybody happy with the sound now?
Yeah, hopefully.
Awesome. There we go.
I've been sitting with
cool.
this mic in front of
No, I thought we had it because I heard it in the beginning. I was going like, it can't be. Maybe it's like and then someone mentioned maybe it's a Y, but I've had it before where it's like it'll or default to whatever. But there we go, 100%. Awesome source. So listen, just for context, right, Herman? You mentioned you're kind of part of Agri SA to some degree. What do you like? What if you can talk about that? What is that vibe?
I'm actively involved in Agri Northwest.
Right.
I'm the chairperson for Labour in Agri Northwest, and then I sit on the committee for Labour in Agri SA. It's yearly. We are elected yearly to the position, and Yeah, my portfolio is not as bang on as the other guys' portfolio. We check on
Yeah.
what's going on with the labor currently. We had a meeting today again on certain labor issues, but I must honestly say, within South Africa, when it regards to labor, it's more that we are working on a case-to-case basis. There's not fireworks. There's new legislation now coming in with the Immigration Act that's going to affect seasonal workers that comes from other countries, and then the new labor law that they are publishing. So we are currently busy with that, and that is where I can. But then again, as it is, you're not just stuck on your portfolio.
Of course not.
When there's other problems arising like illegal mining, we have illegal chrome wash plants in our area and throughout. So you help where you can there. Yeah, chrome wash plants. Yeah.
What's chrome wash?
So what they do is the chrome that's mined and milled gets sent to these plants where they wash the chrome out.
Okay.
Right. So, but you need a license for that, and there's a lot of these illegal chrome wash plants popping up. So what they do is they extract water illegally from natural resources. They make illegal Eskom connections where they don't pay electricity, and so the risk with chrome wash plants is that you can get chrome-6 contamination. Now, if there's somebody in the chat that can do a bit of a explanation, chrome-6, yes, highly toxic, highly dangerous. If I think it's chrome-4. That chrome-4, when it comes into contact with UV light, it changes over to chrome-6. Kevin, I don't know how the chrome is washed out.
Mixed chromium and a highly toxic carcinogenic industrial byproduct. Holy shit! Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So what? Obviously, the guys that are doing this, they're obviously getting infected with the shit, and obviously
they don't care.
They're getting sick.
No, they don't care. Because the money that's being made out of these illegal chrome wash plants is humongous. So nobody knows what's going on. So within organized agriculture, we cover a lot of facets, from safety, rural safety, right through to labor. So anything that affects agriculture, we work on. And in South Africa, we have provinces. Each province has their own agricultural union, and then all of these unions are then structured within the umbrella organization within Agri-SA. But we are semi-autonomous. Each province are run by its president and its CEO. And I must honestly say, from my side, within our province, we have a kick-ass team that's running our office. And when I got involved, I kept on joking with the guys. I said, you know what, I'll do this because we need feet on the ground. And 2 years later, I'm like, you bought me over, but it's just a joke. I enjoy doing this. But we do have a bit of a problem, Mork, and one people should understand in South Africa is agriculture is not just we have many facets. We are probably one of the countries with the most diverse agricultural sector within the world. There are very few countries that has grapes to tobacco and everything in between.
Fruit, grapes, livestock. Because livestock also covers that's pigs, sheep, chickens, cows. You go from bananas, like you got because I mean, like that's because
cherries.
Our climate is there we go, cherries, strawberries. I mean, like I mean, I was like, I remember, I know Ceres. Ceres is like, I mean, that's the area I grew up in. Worcester, Ceres. Worcester is, winelands for days. Ceres is fruit, apples, citrus fruit. It's massive. But now, so before we completely leave the concept of, I think we had a bit of an audio issue. So with regards to the foot and mouth disease, the one thing I want to know is, like, so if you can give us a quick summarization of the issue that was happening, because obviously a lot of farmers were upset because you mentioned now in the beginning that The reason for foot and mouth disease, there's nothing wrong with the cattle. You can still slaughter them, but obviously O's can't export meat due to this. But now the big issue and the big thing, the contentious issue that I remember was the fact that the government has to issue the foot and mouth vaccine. I mean, why if you had cows, why can't you just buy the certified vaccine from like a private seller? Why does it have to be via the government? And was that the contention with the initial issue? Or
we need to take a step back there, Mork. Remember, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the Controlled Diseases Acts were written, and they were the Act of 1947, if I can remember correctly, that was written especially to control vaccines coming into South Africa. So look, you don't want anybody just hopping on the airplane. Sorry, guys, if I keep scratching my nose, I've got this sinus that's been bugging me for a while.
That's fine, dude.
So you don't want anybody to just bring in any type of medicine, just as with humans. We don't want that with our cattle or our industries. It needed to be regulated. But the problem came that I think that the law became outdated for the circumstances where we are now. In 1994 to 2000, things were going smooth. There was no FMD outbreak. There was no need to change the law until 2019, when we saw the first outbreaks of FMD within inland South Africa. Look, we always had FMD around the Kruger National Park area. We always had it in KwaZulu-Natal. Right. But because on this Poort, the manufacturing of vaccines for FMD wasn't deemed necessary. And I think that's my opinion. I can't say it's true, that they just completely collapsed the research side. And we can see that with African horse disease. It's also a controlled disease. So the government decided way back then, there's certain diseases that are government controlled, which means these vaccines need to be supplied by the government. Right. Now we're sitting with a different. Well, back then they could.
They could do that because but they could also at the time they met the supply, right? So no issue.
Correct.
In this in a case of like an emergency or a mass outbreak, now government's they don't have a good reputation with getting shit done.
Unfortunately, yes. And that is where the fight started and eventually ended up with court cases going on now. It's ongoing. Is to get to have the private sector now handling these controlled disease vaccines.
Vaccines, yeah.
So, but the thing is, a lot of people tried to get vaccines in from Kenya, right? Kenya has a different strain of FMD, which people must understand. And if
so it gets massively complicated. Like on this is like it's strains of disease.
Yes. Now the specific strain that is in Kenya actually kills your cattle.
What?
Right? Yeah.
But because if you use their strain here, your cattle will die. But because obviously they've got a different genetic vibe. Oh, okay.
So that is very complicated. So there needs to be and also who manufactures these vaccines. If these vaccines are not manufactured with strict regulations.
Yeah, of course.
Look, it's a deactivated virus that you inject in simple man's terms, that you inject into the cattle so they can build antibodies. If the virus is not properly deactivated, and it ends up in that vaccine and it ends up in your herd within South Africa, we can have big problems.
So the counter issue is if accidentally they get the wrong vaccine strain, they inject cows, that could affect, that could spread herd, and you could just
I'm not saying, I'm not saying that we shouldn't privately. My opinion is that the private sector, and we have brilliant companies within South Africa that can bring in the correct vaccines, but it's sometimes when you're in a crisis and suddenly, and this is the fear. I understand the side of government, all right? Don't get me wrong.
No,
a lot of people are going to hang me after what I'm saying. Government knows that when you change a law, it becomes sort of free for all. Some people will jump on the first flight to Turkey and Kenya and Botswana
go
to
grab
get
whatever
vaccines.
they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. The cheapest.
But
They
then
obviously, if you have a small farm, you're going to go, okay, cool. Well, you're the recommended ones. Wait, I know a guy in Kenya. I can get it for half the price, and I'm not going to buy. I can buy what I want to. You're now fucking with the neighbor's farm because the cattle they touch each other.
That
I get what you're saying,
that is their argument, all right, which has some element of truth in it, because a boer maak 'n plan, all right, but from us as farmers on the ground, we need the vaccines yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, 2 months ago.
And here's the risk now, all right, and here's the reality. While government is worrying about people jumping on, and if they change the law or change everything, it's going to become a free for all, and people might bring in their own vaccines and doing harmful stuff. The other side of this thing is now happening as well. Now a boer is making a plan, because here's the reality.
Yeah.
If you don't know what I'm doing while I'm on a trip to Kenya,
exactly,
and I get hold of those things, you can drive from Kenya to South Africa.
Exactly.
All right. So we are now risking way more the reality of people doing stupid things than just to allow companies to bring in. And you know what? Farmers will pay for the vaccines. That's the reality. But because of the law, government needs to supply. Yeah, I know. But unfortunately, that's the problem. That's exactly the thing.
Yeah.
What people are saying now. But unfortunately, as the law is written currently now, government has control over these things.
They've got control over it.
Change. Yeah, we need to change.
So now, I mean, like an easy way of sorting the problem out would basically, because I mean, like I think of it in this sense, right? We've got our uncle, he's a wine farmer. Now, obviously, with regards to what is it called? Like pesticides that you spray, that's also controlled, right? You can't just buy any pesticides. I mean, that's sort of why can't they just do the same thing? So they can go, okay, cool. Well, there's these 7 companies, and all of them can supply it. You can get it from them internationally. All it has to do is has to fit this criteria. I mean, that's like solving the problem. And I from my point of view, who's kind of outside, I'm going I don't know the intricacies of this. There's still an incentive, because there's a monetary incentive on the government because they're making money from it, right?
No, vaccines are supplied for free. Yeah. So when government procures it, when government procures it, it's free. And
but I mean, but they're spending tax money on it, right? So
yes, correct. Why do I need to pay for something that I've already paid for? Right. So that's double paying. So you need to.
They're not. So the government isn't charging the farmers for the vaccine at all.
No,
because taking it out of
tax money. But
they're taking out of tax money, right?
Yeah. So I've already paid for it. So you can't charge somebody. They're using your tax money to procure a product. They can't charge you additionally. And that's also, I think, a huge content that was happening. So look, Mork, this thing is very difficult, and I will say it.
The more I get into it now, it's like it's problematic. It's like, wow, there's too many variables in this entire thing.
And there's brilliant people from organized agriculture sitting with them on this committee. There's a specialized committee that includes veterinarians and organized agriculture that are pushing this thing, that are fighting, to get the vaccines in. Unfortunately, once again, we can criticize the minister. It's easy. It's easy.
Because he's the face of it, right? So you look at there's an issue, that's the guy, what's going on. But I completely get it, because also it's not something that you can just do overnight, right? Because it's
treasury.
Think of the tender process, right? That's like I've seen people who apply. It's like there's 6 months of applications, and they got to vet the applications, blah 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 blah, right? So this must be the same thing. But I mean, wasn't it possible for them to get multiple organizations to go, guys, we need to get this immediately?
We do have that, and that's the problem. It's.
And they still
I
can't
see one
provide
of
all.
the That's the problem. It's a much more complex situation. I see one is saying, is this Herman guy part of the ANC? No. Let me categorically state this tonight. I'm not
Herman
part of the
isn't.
ANC. I have been in agriculture for many years, and I've been part of a system where I know how to approach. It doesn't help. All right.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm an I'm I'm voting Freedom Front. Get it? Finish and
Yeah.
claw, and that's where
There
it
we
ends. All right. I'm not changing my vote. So let's put that out there and get it straight tonight. All right. Secondly, when you are in a situation where we are in now, and it's not just FND, there are 100 other cases going on. We have problems with Department of Home Affairs. We have problems with the DMRE, water affairs. We can continue, as I said to you, the whole night.
No.
What people must understand,
it's government bureaucracy at the end of the day, right? That's because it's been set up in such a cuck way. It's like, even, I mean, but now that you say it, now I kind of think about it, it's almost like I'm thinking 2 steps ahead, and I'm going like, it almost feels like the DA gave, the ANC gave the ministerial job of agriculture to the DA as sort of a. It feels like it's a difficult job, but due to bureaucracy, due to the fact that you can't get stuff done.
Here's a question.
You know what I mean?
I see this one guy says he's a farmer. I am part of the ANC. Please, this is the question, as well as I've been saying earlier. You're attacking people personally. Yeah, you're a bloody part of the ANC. I'm also a farmer, and you're talking shit. Here's the thing. Let's get personal.
Yeah.
If I tell you and Dorf tonight, and I will say this again, you are idiots, you're not going to invite me back onto your stream. And it is within reality where we are in the system of South Africa. As much as I hate it, look, I want to kick and scream sometimes. Look, when I'm standing in my tobacco fields and the hail has hit me, I want to cry and I want to kick somebody and I want to scream at somebody. If my cattle gets a foot and mouth, I want to shout to somebody. But the reality is, we are in a bureaucracy system. Unfortunately, how is this helping us going out and insulting a person? And as I said earlier, and I want to make this category clear, by insulting the person is not going to advance your point or view. Yes,
but I mean,
criticize the office of the president.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, 100%. But again, it's like, I think Ferdosh Ikakas, fuck me, I can't even say that. Ferd, I'm just going to call you Ferd. Ferd, making a claim that someone's part of the ANC just because you don't like what they're saying doesn't really make any sense. Like, if he's gone, if you could see in like a I support the ANC shirt underneath his blue shirt, I would maybe give it some, you know, I'd agree with you a little bit, maybe, but like, it's really a retarded comment to make. Like, I don't think buy a load of shit. Okay, well, cheers, dude. Nice having you here. I don't like things like I don't like it when I don't agree with people. Oh no, he said something I don't agree with. Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, listen, like this is the thing, right, Herman? You're saying stuff that, you know, it would be nice for us to go, okay, well, listen, Johan Steyn isn't the issue, right? But again, we have to be rational and logical about the position he is and what that bureaucracy comes with. It's been, what, 20, how many years now? 20-something years since 1994? 36 years since 1994. It's bureaucracy upon bureaucracy of like systems that don't work. And now all of a sudden, you've got someone in the place and it just doesn't, he's struggling to do the thing. And we look at it and I go, I've been here criticizing Johan Steyn and going like, bro, sort it out, do something. But at the same time, if you had to actually have a sit down with him and go like, well, the issue is this. The laws are set in place. He can't override said law. He just can't. Just because he's the Minister of Agriculture, he can't fucking override those laws. That's how it works.
Remember, what people must understand, the minister is the one that sets the policies. And that is quite clear. The minister, these DG, the Director General, is the one that needs to implement what the minister says. And if you don't have a director general or in your department that's doing his job, and I'm not saying this is the case, all right? There's many facets within government I think we do not understand. But as I said, we have tended to be going towards the American side of politics, where we jump on the stage and we call the guy a loony bin, Epstein filer, conspiracy theorist, and we shoot at the next president. That is where we are heading.
100%, because I mean that's the thing. It's like, unfortunately we've got this, like, we take American style politics and we apply it here. I completely agree with you. I've done it. I've gone, Johannes is head of agriculture. There's an issue in agriculture, it's Johan's fault. If there was an issue tomorrow about water or something, I'd go like, Johan, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Here's the thing.
Everything isn't his fault, obviously.
Let's take the diesel price. All right?
Yeah.
Diesel and fuel doesn't fall under his
of course not.
purview.
Yeah.
All right, that's Guidimantashe.
Yeah.
That's a different department. Now, we are sitting with a possibility of an increase in diesel price that is going to harm agriculture in South Africa. Yeah. Economically, this hike in diesel price has harmed us. All right. So, and it's going to continue to harm us unless the diesel price gets back below to 18 Rand. The Rand dollar strengthens. Fertilizer is a big problem, and we're going to discuss this now, what the future outlook is for us in that sense. Now, are we going to jump up and down and start criticizing a certain portfolio or person? I do not always agree with what the Minister of Agriculture is doing. And if he's listening, please, I'm saying I don't always agree with him.
Sometimes he watches the show. Sometimes he does. He's got a fake profile.
I don't always agree. But here's the thing. I would rather say to him, listen, in person, I don't agree with you on this and this and topic.
On this topic, yeah, of course, yeah.
Rather think of it out of this and that way. All right. See it from this perspective. You know, I just want to explain to people one thing.
Yeah.
We come from the British system, all right? Where in the British Parliament, they would attack the facts, not the person, all right? The Westminster system.
Yeah, yeah.
When you work with Africa in the culture of African culture, all right? The biggest mistake that you can make is by criticizing the person. You can criticize the deed, but not the person. Right? That is African culture. And I grew up with the Tswana people. And you must understand, we're working with a system where if you criticize the person out of a cultural perspective, it is deemed, really, it is an insult to do that. And that person will cut you off. Right? Now, let's look at the system, how the DA is closer to the Westminster system. All right? Most of our politicians in South Africa came out of a system where you're allowed to criticize the office and the deed, not the person. And suddenly we're swinging this over and we start criticizing the person and not the deed. You know, and we must be very careful when we are working, and especially in the political situation, Mork and Dolph, where we are in. All right, we're sitting with the MK and the EFF, waiting to get into the GNU. And guys, let's be honest, if those guys are elected into the GNU, and we've seen what happened in Gauteng with Lesufi, where he had to do his cabinet shuffle, and the EFF and the MK were placed into positions. That's a dangerous coalition for Gauteng.
No, of course. Yeah, totally, dude.
So we have to be very careful on what we wish for.
Yeah.
Do we wish for a new Minister of Agriculture? Okay, let's kick John out. Who
do you replace him with then? If you kicked him, I would. But this is the thing, right? So like, this is like sort of like the bit. Okay, so Johan Steenhuisen. Okay, he's not doing great. But like, who would you replace Johan Steenhuisen with. I mean, like they wouldn't go. They'd go like the president would go. Okay, well, it's his purview, right? So the president can decide whoever he's going to pick. I mean, I prefer it being the guy from the party that kind of gets stuff done, as opposed to anybody else. Even the ANC, I would prefer it to be the DA guys, because at least they know how to do management, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's easy. I always say to people, when we criticize, let's criticize inward, meaning within your organization.
Yeah, of course.
Look, the difference is with you is that you have a platform, and you have to give reliable, truthful your opinion.
Well,
all right.
I try to.
I know it's difficult, but when we work in organizations throughout South Africa, whether it's the tobacco industry, whether it's the maize industry, whether it's the cherry industry or banana industry, it is.
I kind of agree with Rebia. I'm with you. Like, who do you replace him with? I do, but like they're not. But the thing is, they're not going to give. The president would never give them another portfolio, right? Because they're a smaller party. So I would love that to happen, but the DA wouldn't stand for it. Like everybody wants their share of running government. So like, prisons or farming. Fuck it. If they could give both of the FF plus, I would prefer that.
Yeah. You know, I think, in my opinion, it doesn't matter who gets the Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, it's still the bureaucracy is the issue.
It is the department is broken. Let's be honest about that, and it will take years to fix a lot of the problems and corruption within the department. It's not going to be fixed in 18 months or 20 months or 2 years. You know, it is an integrated system. Corruption and look at our rail system within South Africa. I think the only 2 departments that are functional with if you look at the only 2 functional departments is Home Affairs and SARS that are working.
I mean, like, but even that, Herman, if you had a look, if you look at those 2 departments, even if you gave me that, it's kind of really easy to fix that from the outset, right? If anybody of us have gone to Home Affairs, all you need to do is just actually have the 50 people that are there when they've got like only 1 teller open, just have more people work. It's really not a massive solve to fix that. It's just to be like get better infrastructure system running and actually just have people doing their jobs. So that was an easy fix. Agriculture, like, because the thing is like this. Now that we're talking about foot and mouth. Like when you explain it in the sense of like, okay, cool, you can't just get anything. There's probably a tender process. There's a vetting process. There's funds need to be allocated. There's no way Johan Steenhuisen can. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Johan Steenhuisen
is involved in this. Yeah.
And Johan Steenhuisen can't just come in and go, okay, well, we're just going to remove all the law. You can't bypass it. So from our point of view, we're going like, Johan, what are you doing? Dude, hurry up. And he's like, I can't do anything.
That's the thing. Unless there's a lot of things that's going to change. And I think a lot of things are going to change for the positive. Yeah. The thing is, we must understand with the FMD vaccines, there is Treasury. Yeah. There is SAPRA, the health. That's the health department of health is involved in this. So it's a multi-department thing. But here's the problem: if you have a person that has been sitting at your let's take your job, all right? If the person who has just been sitting behind his desk doing nothing for 10 years, and suddenly he's confronted with a disease or a problem that he's never seen it, first of all right? Yeah. When he was trained as a veterinarian, as a state veterinarian, he was trained, he did read about it, he knows it's in South Africa, but he never, ever, how many of these state vets has ever in their life seen FMD? Very few. Yeah. Very few. Because it was not a disease of concern.
Right. So is that another so basically that's another caveat to it, the fact that so okay, because I mean, to me as a sort of NPC when it comes to this stuff, I don't know. So foot and mouth disease outbreak is not like a regular occurrence, right? Is this a very rare case of like?
The thing is, this thing escalated. The first case
Okay.
was reported in 2019 when they were first detected inland. All right. Now suddenly this thing has become a problem. But here's the thing: if a veteran, look, let's take your vet that has been working with dogs and cats for his whole life.
Yeah.
Suddenly I phone him and I say, listen here, my horse is sick.
Yeah.
He comes to my horse and he looks at this and he's going to say, oh, it looks like a fever. It might be
there's no way for him to.
He ate something wrong. In the meantime, it might be African horse disease. So I need the vet that knows horses to come and check my horses. And that's the same problem we have, even with private. And I'm not saying all private vets. These guys, the veterinarians, don't kill me. Thanks, We'll get to tobacco. Hopefully the stream is long enough. We'll get to the
Thank
tobacco.
you for your service, good sir.
Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Adam.
So there's a lot of caveats within industry. All right. When we look at agriculture we started talking about, we've spanned, as I said, this is not just ours, and my opinions is my opinions.
Yeah, of course.
There are other facets where we have big problems, and you touched on this, the regulation of agricultural chemicals. All right?
Yeah, that's another thing.
You remember that whole thing about turboforce, where kids actually died?
No, I'm not.
There was a...
Sounds familiar. Turboforce.
Yes, turboforce. It's a chemical that's used mainly in the maize industry. All right?
Yeah.
And somehow, and it's a highly dangerous organophosphate, right? So somehow somebody figured out that these things can be used to kill cockroaches and rats and stuff. So they started using this chemical, and how they got their hands on it, nobody knows. All right. So this highly regulated back then it was called a red label chemical, somehow found its way into food, and a lot of children in Johannesburg and around died because it's about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. All right. So we have found within South Africa, suddenly you'll have agrochemicals coming into the system that has registration numbers. They are it's called an L registration. And these things were imported from China. They were never tested. They were never checked.
Oh, shit.
And what they did is they will copy. That was Turboforce. That was used. All right. The packet they're showing there is not actually Turboforce. That is that would be Aldicarb. Two-step.
Oh, okay.
They love to use two-step because if you take in two-step, you are 2 steps and you're dead. Lucky enough, South Africa, if you find two-step in South Africa, guys, please, and I'm begging this, report that to the SAP or destroy that chemical. Because what they do with two-step is they use 2 steps to kill off guinea fowl, and they kill off our vultures. So if you ever find two-step on the street, don't buy everything. Yeah, buy everything and just take it to the. Yeah, no, don't, because that thing is two-step. Wherever you throw it away, it can get into the system. It doesn't. Its half-life is very slow. So what you do is either you phone Griffin Poison Center, and you report
actually get it.
Get it removed and destroyed properly, because two-step Aldicarb is a very dangerous poison. So guys, please never ever buy two-step. You're going to, because if
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to say thank you still, Ronaldo, for sending the raid, sending the peeps. Thanks so much for the foot takers to join us. We're chatting to Herman, and we're talking about farming in South Africa. So join the chat, guys. If you have any questions, be sure to ask him. We'll try and ask Herman questions. He's a tobacco farmer, but he knows we're talking about the issue. there's an issue with the pesticides happening in South Africa as
Hello
well.
there.
Right?
Yeah, because of poor regulations. All right.
Yeah.
The registrar this is quite interesting. And once again,
Yeah.
whose problem is this? Is it the minister's problem, or is it the person working at the registrar? Some agrochemicals and fertilizers have been banned for 2 to 3 years. Right. So
What?
because in the
So like,
So you-
just saying, there are some pesticides that they've been trying to pass that aren't getting
Yes.
passed
passed
because it's
of
stuck
the
at the
back.
register because they just can't.
Yes.
There's just a backlog.
Yeah.
So like,
So-
like you mean like a new pesticides that are maybe safer, that are like all these
Yes,
things, and we
correct.
can't get them passed because the registrar, which is completely separate from the agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture sort of purview, now can't get those things, can't come through, and then this is
Correct.
this can affect. But again, on that, this can affect produce, it can affect
Correct.
yield, it can affect a whole bunch of stuff that we could be fixing, but the registrar's office is just being a bunch of douchebags.
Yeah, correct. So
Fucking
people
hell.
must understand, when it comes to registering a new agrochemical or fertilizer within South Africa, you need to do trials. All right.
Yeah, of course.
So first
Yeah,
of all, you're going to do your toxicity trial and find what's your LD50, which means at a certain level of that poison, the active ingredient, you will have 50% of that population will die. Right, quite interesting. Here's a thing. So you know that 6,000 milligrams of paracetamol, Panado,
yeah, Panado, yeah.
will kill you.
6,000 milligrams of that. How much is one
Right.
pill? Wait, how much is
500. One pill is 500 milligrams.
so 6,000 will
Milligrams.
that's
So
no,
it's
no.
roughly around, let's say, 12 to 20 pills of
hectic.
Panado. You're gone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have any
Never
warning.
knew.
All right. So that's the LD50, meaning 50% of the population at that dosage will die.
Could
So
die,
first of all, they will do a toxicity. The labs will do rat tests. Then they will go on environmental impact. Right?
Yeah,
Will
yeah.
it kill bees? What will be the environmental impact?
Yeah.
Then they will go to what we call trials. All right, this will be done in usually in controlled environments where they will spray it, introduce the insect or whatever the chemical company wants to do. All right, thanks, Gavin. And second, then it goes to field trials. All right.
Yeah.
So from production, where they started developing the chemical up until registration, can take 10 years and millions of dollars.
No, of course.
So now you have done all this work, field trials. You know, it costs you millions, and you need to register this product, and it will take you another 3 to 4 years. Do you think an agrochemical company, or any company or business for that matter,
Bro, I would
will
not-
want to
I would
go
not-
through
hell no.
all of that work in South Africa, 4 or 5
Hell no.
years in South Africa,
No, they
Right.
won't. Why?
and to register? That's the problem. All right.
Yeah,
So
you would
we
you
are
wouldn't do that
losing.
because it's like basically it's a business suicide, right? Imagine doing that, having a company. I mean, it sounds like it's almost like a incentive for a company to not do that because, and then if there's also an issue with the registrar getting your
Hey,
drug passed,
hey,
like, that's
Ronaldo.
insane.
Yeah. So what happens is, and it's the same as and with there's these companies that what they will do is they'll buy products from countries like China or wherever, India, and they will copy the L registrations, because even if they bring in glyphosate, which is Roundup,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah, yeah.
glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup. Even if they bring it in at that stage, all right, they still need to comply and register that product, because glyphosate itself is only 50 or 150 milligrams of active ingredient within a liter. So what makes up the rest of that liter?
Yeah, what is it? What's the other stuff? Water.
No, it
What
is
is it?
different compounds. It's usually different. Xylene is one of the compounds. It might be an EC. It might be in a powder form. So
Yeah.
you have, let's say, 250 milligrams of that 1 liter, so 250 mils of that 1 liter,
1 liter
is active ingredient. All right. The rest is different compounds that they use to fill up the liter. Right. That's a stabilizing agent, a spreading agent. It can be, it depends on how it's formulated.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because like you want something that doesn't activate immediately, like slow to activate or
fast activation. Yeah. So
exactly.
It all depends. Sometimes they encapsulate the active ingredient to stop UV. You have a UV. So every manufacturer has
hundreds of different formulations to do what the end user wants it to do. Yeah.
Great. So, but because it's a different manufacturer, you still need to apply for a registration.
Oh, shit. Wait.
So you can't. Yeah, just because it's glyphosate.
Yeah. So in layman's terms, basically, if you hypothetically just wanted, say you've got you've got 200 mils of glyphosate, and you've got your compounds, and I'm company A, and I have to go through that 10-year trial, but you now want to do the same. You're company B, and you just want to go, okay, I'm going to take the same product, but I'm going to make it like slow activating. You too have to go over that 10 years.
Go through 10 years. Correct.
That sounds like a bit of a screw up on like getting stuff.
No, that is why. That's more. Let's go back to the DDT era. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if your viewers know what DDT is. All right. It was a brilliant chemical. It killed mosquitoes. It killed flies. There were videos of people being sprayed with DDT on the beaches.
I remember this. Yeah.
It had a low LD50. People were eating the stuff to promote it. All right. Later on, they found it was highly carcinogenic, meaning cancer forming. And DDT was withdrawn. All right. Although not completely, because in certain areas, DDT is still used where there's high malaria prevalence.
Okay.
All right. They will come in but it's very restricted use. If I remember the last time I heard it might be stopped now. If somebody can help me with that, I can't remember. But let's go back to DDT, for instance. If we had the same rules and regulations back then that we have today, I don't think DDT would have made it out of the door, even as a compound.
Because the regular. But I mean, there's also there's positives and negatives to having those regulations, right?
Yes. Yes, but now I've spent my time doing all this research, and now I'm getting to the registrar, where the registrar is not pushing my registration through. South Africa, we have a problem. We have been having this problem all over the world, actually, where we start getting resistance, insects, herbicide, pesticide resistance, because something like pyrethroids, has been coming since. Pyrethroid is the stuff you use in your doom that you spray has been coming since 19 Futsak. It's coming out of Noah's Ark. So over time we start building up resistance. All right, we have of course, the same problem with herbicides.
Oh my God! But the other day I had issues, so I bought Mortine, the red can, and it just doesn't kill flies, and I'm going like. And I thought to myself, like, over generations, do flies not build up resistance? Because I spray the fucker white, right? And just still moving. I'm going like, bought Doom, not an issue.
All right. You must look at the active on the can. It's very important. What's the active ingredient? Here's the thing, guys, and this is one thing. I'm going to say this tonight.
Yeah.
When you're burning coils, these mosquito repellents, that fluid that you put in your room, I've seen people doing this with babies. All right. You must understand one thing about pyrethroids. It's in Doom. People burn quills. They spray Doom in the room where there's babies and children. That is, it's a nervous toxin. All right. It attacks the nervous system and your muscles. All right. I freaked out when Walter my son was born. I would not allow that stuff in his room unless it's been sprayed at least 12 hours prior. All right. the thing is, people must understand when you use stuff like pyrethroids in your children, especially up to the age of 6, 7, 8, you can cause nervous system toxicity. NST. You can cause that. And I've seen so many times people being irresponsible. Now suddenly, out there you have these greenies jumping up and down, and they want to ban Roundup. And oh yes, I don't love them. Please, if you're a greenie, don't.
People that glue their hands to the fucking tar.
Oh,
Stop oil.
Yeah, please. You've given me hernias and stomach ulcers for many years. How dare you? So the thing is, when people start using products irresponsibly, all right, that is when you give your, and I'm calling them greenies, hugger bunnies, you give them fuel to attack you. But the problem is, it's not the company that is supplying you; it's you as a farm. So if you look at within that sense, all right, people must understand when they use chemicals to spray in their garden. Okay, you go down to your local shop, you buy a nice herbicide Roundup, and that Saturday morning, but you going bonkers, you spraying Roundup, and the next day, a week later, your neighbor calls you, hey, have you sprayed something? No, I haven't sprayed anything. Because of spray drift, you kill these petunias next door. Irresponsible use. Right now, I'm starting to sound like an advocate for responsible, but it is within, and we can get it back once again to whatever we do within agriculture. All right, there is a point of responsibility, versus non-responsibility. Right, it is irresponsible for you not to join your community watch. This is something that I'm very serious about. If you're not part of your community watch, it's irresponsible. Get part of your CPF. If you are not part of organized agriculture, then you're irresponsible. And if you want to fly to Kenya to buy vaccines, you are irresponsible.
Of course. No, 100%. But I mean, but again, I think there's obviously there needs to be a limit to. And again, the government thing, I get it. I mean, we can still be angry at Johan Steenhuisen, but it's not completely his fault. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think there were some ways that he acted, because he made a big buhai about the whole the court case where I think the farmers got together and they were like, we're going to sue. They were trying to sue the government so that they could buy it privately. That was the vibe, right? If I'm
that's
mistaken.
the thing. But okay. Mork, let's be honest about this, all right? I think in a way, all right, you also have to save face in a difficult situation.
No, of course.
All right?
I get it.
It doesn't matter, a politician, businessman, somehow you're going to play the game, all right? And I don't know. I don't know him personally.
Of course.
I've only met him once at a meeting. And I can't say anything else than what I've seen, in my opinion. I think there's a lot going on that we don't know about, right? We don't know what's going on in the internal, and it's massive. Maybe even inside the DA, when we've seen what's been happening over the weekend. I just think we should he's a politician.
That's the other part. This is where I would have gone, if it was me, if I were like the dictator of South Africa, I would go I don't know. Again, I can't criticize Johan Steenhuisen to a degree. He's the face of it. So when shit happens, we go, dude, what are you doing? But at the same time, it's if you had somebody that maybe has a history in farming, or somebody that's got he had a degree in agriculture or some shit, that would be a better option for me, to have somebody that is in that kind of that historical vibe. Maybe he's been a farmer for 10 years. That's the guy that you should have be the head of agriculture.
Yes, Mork, that would be the bonus
Ideal.
to have
Yeah.
that. Unfortunately, we're sitting with a government that is at a stage where saving face is more
Yeah.
important than
Of course.
actually doing and getting the work
100%.
done. And I think that is why we have a saying in Agri Northwest that we say, ons sal self. We will do it ourselves.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
We should, I think in South Africa, we should start moving away from this attitude that government will do everything for you
100%.
and start doing it yourself.
Yeah.
All right. If the municipality is not fixing the roads,
Yeah.
you know what?
Go fix
Block
that.
the road.
Yeah.
Block the road and put cement in, because they get angry when you do that. Because once again, let's get back to saving face. All right. You get angry because you are fixing the roads. You're making me look bad.
Of course.
They don't like, people don't like it.
Yeah, of
I don't
course not.
like it. So until we get to that point within South Africa, I'm not going to comment. No comment. Until we get, even within towns or cities, if the street in front of your business, I was in Pretoria this weekend. Okay. So we were driving around, my son was doing his scuba course in Pretoria. So I'm driving around Tierpoort, all right, Pretoria East.
Yeah.
And I took the wrong turn off, and I'm going over this gravel road. And I'm looking at these plots and these grand mansions of houses standing there. And I'm going, and I'm like, thanks.
Wow.
Thank you. I'm driving a proper car. And I'm like,
good Lord.
what will it cost you as a community to get a grader? Yeah, get a grader.
Yeah.
Grade the road yourself, fix the road yourself. But no, I'm paying the municipality.
But that's the thing. It's like the thing is, that's why I think it's like, that's why I always make the argument. I go like, it would, in a situation like that, this is what I think a few years ago, I think the Sea Point community did this, where the municipality they weren't picking up the garbage in time, or some shit that happened. And they just got a lawyer and they said, okay, cool. So instead of paying the lawyer, instead of paying the government, we're going to put all our money and pay the lawyer, and we're going to try and look after ourselves, because like you guys, you can't charge us money and then not for the money that, because I mean, this is the thing, property taxes for infrastructure, but they're going, no, it's kind of like, it's not really, it's just tax and we can use it on SASSA grants. Like, no, dude.
No.
Sort out my industry. I think that's the thing where a lot of people are just like, they're just hurtful, because you're taxing people into oblivion and then not doing the thing. And then people above and beyond that, they go and do the stuff. They go and fix the potholes. They go and do shit like that. It's like,
yeah, but that's the thing, Mork, and a lot of people have been advocating for this. And I think there's a lot of good organizations out there that are advocating for this. We shall do it ourselves. But let's take a community. I was even in another street I was driving, and it's this really beautiful business complex. But the street outside, the grass was growing knee high. And I'm thinking to myself, guys, listen here. What will it take you to just take a brush cutter, just clean it, just make it look spectacular? Because if it looks spectacular in front of your business, it's like my farm. When you come to my house, I want it to look nice.
Of course.
So I don't have them. I'm paying rates and taxes on my farm. Guys, you must understand. We pay, every farmer pays the municipality rate. We taxed on property value. All right.
Yeah.
I get nothing from the municipality.
Yeah, bro.
All right.
You do everything yourself.
Yeah. So that's the difference. And we need to start changing more our mindset. Even within and to get back in agri. Listen, Mork, you and Dolph go on for 5 minutes. I really need to go to the loo quickly.
No, go for it, dude.
I'm going to mute. Just take me off quickly from the
screen. Cool. I'll see when you're back on. I'll shot, dude. Go for it.
Cool, man.
No, that's cock interesting. It's insane. I mean, listen, I was chatting to my uncle on the weekend, and he was talking about he's got electrical points on his farm. And apparently he's spending like I think in total something like he's got 3 electrical points on his farm, and he's paying something like 180,000 a month for those points. It's dude, it's insane. It's honestly insane.
Is that
I don't know.
the 3-phase electricity points?
Something like that, yeah, dude. It's like the thing is, I mean, like I know he gets charged for like rainwater, like these ridiculous things. That's regulation that like they just like it's insane. Like I think farming, and I remember I was watching. There was this video I saw a couple of months ago, like a year or two ago, where there was this this business guy like doing a lecture or something, where he points out the insanity of farming, right? Just from like a business perspective. And he goes like, the most insane thing you can do is become a farmer, because he goes, it's like if you decide, no, well, you know what, I'm going to do carrots this month, or like for example, our uncle, he's in farming, he does citrus, right? You plant a tree this year, right? You plant a bunch of trees. It's going to cost you what, 200,000 to plant it. Then it's like fertilizer, pesticides, You're doing that for the next 5 years before you see a return on investment. And you have no idea what your fruit is going to sell for in 5 years from now. No idea. And also like the market's this. Like, I mean, like sometimes he has a weird thing where he told us like his one harvest, just like he got nothing for the entire year because there was some random rain vibe happened or something. And then what happens is the fruit, there's nothing wrong with it, just has a funny mark on. But because this fruit goes through this machine where it scans it, it just goes, nah, not happening. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's like, it's absolutely insane. It's really hectic. I mean, and the quantities that you have to lay out to make, like, it's next level. I think the most hectic thing that you can do in this country is be a farmer. And then on top of that, you've got like fucking like this, you know, the thing that the government goes like, oh, there's no farm murders happening. It's like, bro, it's nuts, man. I don't know. Yeah, like I mean, like I remember like wine farming. I remember he told us like on a bottle of wine he gets 3 rand. This was before COVID, and even after COVID, I was going like, well, if the prices of wine has gone up, you're probably making more now. He goes, nah, 3 rand on a bottle of wine. I'm going, bro, why even bother? Just, I don't know, just sell it and just get the fuck out of it. It's insane. Arbot says small scale farming will be done in 10 years. There we go, Arman, we're back. How's it? Yeah. No, dude, it's hectic. I was just telling. I'm saying like, farming is it's not an easy feat. It's like it's a risky. You have no idea. I mean, like with you, like maybe let's touch on a bit of like your vibe, how, like with tobacco. I mean, my uncle was in wine farming. He does citrus now, but I was just saying like, you don't. I mean, if you plant tobacco tomorrow, how long is it before? If you planted like started out brand new. If you plant tobacco, how long does it take before that tobacco is fully grown for you to be able to cure it, to you know, cut it, cure it? How long does that process take?
Thanks. Just want to say, Matty and 1 of 44 saying thank you for telling me to unmute. Okay.
All right.
People must understand tobacco. My new season will start in May when we start making the seedlings. Then I'm still busy with last year's season.
Yeah.
All right. So it takes approximately a year from seedlings to when you finally sell your product. All right. We start selling in February and we end in July. All right. That's your window where you sell your product. All right. But you're already starting in May with your seedlings up until September. Usually your first, it depends on how you space your crop. We will do our first crop usually in September, and end of November we'll do our second crop on our farm. That's our spacing ratio, and that's how my tobacco barns can handle my spacing. So it's a very long and tedious process.
Yeah, of course.
In South Africa, we are very lucky to our buyer. signs a contract ahead of for the year ahead, we know for what grades, what's the price that you're going to get.
But I mean that also fluctuates, right?
Yes, the price do fluctuate. It is influenced by what if there's an oversupply in the market within the world market. If Brazil and Zimbabwe and these countries produce too much, I just want to check something here. So yeah, like what's happening in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe went and produced nearly a 400 million kilo tobacco harvest this year. It's dropping the price.
Hectic.
So it will impact us in the tobacco industry, definitely for our pricing next year. But here's the thing: at least our buyer in South Africa is committed to buying our product.
So you got like so is that a thing though? So in South Africa, do the tobacco plants, do they have to buy from you guys first before they import overseas, or? But also, like even if there's an overseas, like if for example other countries produce more, that influences the overall tobacco. But that will influence the tobacco price, right?
No, look, for when they buy, like when your buyer buys the tobacco that is produced in South Africa, there is certain tax incentives. If I remember, if I understood it correctly.
Of course, yeah.
But companies there's certain companies that import cigarettes and into South Africa that don't procure any tobacco in South Africa, right? Because it's cheaper for them to manufacture tobacco. What will happen in South Africa? Heidelberg. There's a big possibility that, and BAT has said that Heidelberg factory will close down. And it's going to be better for them to buy the crop in South Africa, export it to other countries, and have the cigarette. Yes, BAT is leaving South Africa. Not the manufacturing side of cigarettes, not buying from farmers. They committed to us, and I'm honestly saying thank you to them, because it was a stressful period for us, because we moved away due to the pressure from the hugger bunnies that we must move away from coal. We're not allowed. We are the first. Will be the first country next year, if I can remember correctly, that will be 100% renewable energy, meaning we won't be using coal to produce or cure our tobacco in South Africa.
What we use?
Macadamia.
What do you use?
Macadamia.
Oh yes, you showed me the photo.
Yes, macadamia shells. Yes, it's working. It's working quite well. We were skeptic about it. They're testing marula pits from the marula tree. They're testing that now. It's also the tests are coming in very positive. So we're moving away from using coal, and that gives us the leverage. Whereas Zimbabwe, in Zimbabwe, they are actually going to cause deforestation at the rate they are using wood. So Zimbabwe is moving back to coal, which will make their product less desirable. In for your buyers. All right. Whereas we as South Africa, we had within 2 years, when they started doing the research till where we are now. I think this year we will be nearly 100% coal-free, renewable energy. Wow. And by next year we will be 100%. If so in the tobacco industry, but the thing is, sorry, Mork, what people must understand about the tobacco industry in South Africa is that we are very, very, very small. 80 farmers.
Hectic.
80 farmers. All right?
Hectic. That's tiny.
From
what is so like 80 farmers? What would you say is the total mass that you guys produce in a harvest?
Between the total production harvest in South Africa. This is flue cured. All right, we have 2 types of tobacco produced in South Africa. Flue cured is Virginia tobacco, cigarette tobacco.
Okay.
And then you have air cured tobacco. That is more your pipe tobaccos. The pipe tobaccos, your snus, those pockets that you buy, those tins that you buy, snus that you put in your mouth, that is air cured. Oudtshoorn there's quite a big production of that, but that's Philip Morris. They buy in South Africa through Universal. But I think they don't have, I think total combined, I think 250 or 300 farmers if you combine air cured and flue cured. But we do about, in a flue cured, we do about 6 to 7 million kilograms of tobacco with about 80 farmers in South Africa. Now,
Hectic.
you compare that to early 2000s when we were around 2,000 tobacco farmers in South Africa. We were only
Holy
producing
shit. You dropped by a lot, like 90%.
At the peak. I think,
Jesus, dude, that's. But why?
Yeah.
Why is this due to syntax, or is it due to illegal cigarettes? Why did the amount of tobacco farmers drop so much?
We'll get to that point, right?
Okay.
So at the peak of tobacco production in South Africa, there were roughly around 3,000, if I can remember correctly, 3,000 tobacco farmers. We're producing around 25 million kilos. All right. Now, if you compare the 80 farmers in South Africa currently producing 6 to 7 million kilograms per capita, we are producing double per farmer that was produced back then. All right. So that's just how far our tobacco farmers have skilled themselves.
They've had to improve.
We had to. Otherwise, either you're in or you're out. There's no in between anymore for us. All right. So what happened with the tobacco industry in South Africa is we saw the illicit trade starting here in early 2000s. All right. And von Lochenberg, actually, in his book, he explains it quite clearly where it starts. And it started peaking around 2009, 2010, when under the Zuma, I think it was when Zuma, 2009, when he became president, we started seeing a uptake in illicit cigarettes coming in. Back then, you could buy, I think, a packet of Kent and Camel was 7 to 10 rand, and you could buy these illegal cigarettes for 3 or 4 rand a packet. Right. So as the illicit market and illegal market started skyrocketing, the demand for your legal cigarettes started declining, and because of that decline, there was less and less market share, and the stress on your buyer was automatically transferred to you as a producer. All right.
Of course, yeah.
So, and also included from 2000 till 2020, there were huge fluctuations in the pricing in the market, because Zimbabwe started producing. They were down in 2000. They were down to, I think, nearly 50-60 million kilos, and they started climbing, and they started getting higher every year. They started increasing as Zimbabwe has a lot of small scale farmers, they call them pheasant farmers, 1-2 hectares, and it's the only method for them to make money. All right. So it's the same as in Brazil. All right. Brazil, I think, I couldn't remember, I think it's 200,000 tobacco farmers in Brazil, if I can remember correctly. Please you can Google and check it. It is it's crazy amount of tobacco farmers in Brazil, because that's the only way they can make money.
Yeah.
All right. So but the problem is, as our borders became more and more porous, it was easier for these guys to bring
cigarettes in
illegal cigarettes in. It was easy to bring a truckload of cigarettes in through Bike Bridge. There's a video that AfriForum made, and it scared the living daylights out of me, where these guys would put on these bags that they make themselves out of maize, these big 50-kilogram bags.
And they just walk across with
there are hundreds of these people crossing the border, and then taxis and bakkies will pick them up, and then they'll go to distribution points. That is one fraction. All right. Then there's trucks coming in with container loads. Then there's the other faction. So a lot of these factories within South Africa, and they're known, it's in Johannesburg, they're in PE, they're in Durban. What they will do is they'll buy tobacco from Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
They'll get a license to manufacture cigarettes for export purposes. And for some reason, that cigarette is exported, but it never leaves the country.
But how are they getting the vibe from SARS though? Shouldn't that be the first hurdle for them to get past?
SARS,
I mean,
SARS sits within those factories, physically checking. All right. There's SARS agents within these factories, and these guys are still getting around the system. Look, once that truck leaves the factory,
yeah,
a lot of things can happen.
no, of course. But I've got
The problem-
I've got a quick question in with to do this. So when you say when you sell cigarettes, are those duplicates? Like I'm like, is that like the random what's it, the LG weird stuff that we've
Yes.
never seen? Is that
RG,
like,
yeah.
but I mean, with regards to they're not doing, because when I sometimes I think like, is it they're not duplicating, like making copies of Stuyvesant or these things?
No,
They're not doing
no.
that.
They've got their own brands.
But I mean, like, if they're selling this, why can't the police just come like, listen, this is bullshit? Like,
Mork,
there's just no
you know
infrastructure
the
to look
answer.
after it. Yeah,
It's because
there's no policing.
the cops are supposed by law to remove if a brand that is registered within South Africa with SARS, all right, like Kent, Camel, Marlboro, let's call it the legal brands, all right.
Yeah,
it's easy to verify for SARS. It doesn't matter. The police minister can have SARS verify which brands are legally in South Africa, which have paid, which brands, because you need to register your brand is
and licensing, right?
You have a license for a specific brand in South Africa, right? They can post that to the police stations, say, listen, if you find these things. But do you think, and let's be honest, how many of our cops themselves are smoking illicit cigarettes?
No, but of course, but that's the thing, is like, I mean, again, it's difficult to go, here's a guy earning what, like 12 grand a month, 15 grand a month. You go to a thing, oh, you got illicit cigarettes. Listen, let me just pay you $200. Just shh. I'll give you some entries. Just hush hush. Cool, bro. Like, it's extra income. I mean, unfortunately, like, and there's no infrastructure to like, there's no policing. I mean, I haven't seen a police car, traffic officer. I saw the first one, I think it was yesterday, the first time in, I don't know, maybe like a month. Right, so like if traffic, we've got more traffic officers in Cape Town than we have police. Like, it's unenforceable. Like, there's no way, they don't have the manpower to go
exactly. And listen, if you have to choose between paying 45, 50, 60 rand a packet of cigarettes, and you can pay 20 rand a packet of cigarettes, all right?
Yeah.
Which one are you going to choose?
Of course.
Let's be in any business of any human psychology. You're going for the cheaper option. All right. The problem is with the cheaper option in South Africa, and this is where you have to be very careful, is you don't know.
Yeah, what's it made of?
You can be smoking turbofos for that matter.
Sorry, I got a question on this. Herman, what chemicals do you use on your tobacco? Like, what pesticides while it's growing?
Yeah, so we have a very restricted list, all right, of pesticides and herbicides that we can use in tobacco, because there's our buyers set out a list that is controlled by the Geneva Convention, all right, and it has to comply with, meaning if the Geneva Convention says this product is not rated for human consumption, you're not allowed to use it. We've lost a lot of chemicals, and it needs to comply with Eurogap, the European standards. All right. So we have a list of chemicals, and then at a certain stage during your production, all right, they will come and take samples on our farms. These samples are then sent away for testing to see if you have used restricted chemicals.
Yeah.
Like, let's take, for instance, there's a product called Oxymol. I think it was called Vidate. The selling name was Vidate, Oxymol. It's deemed as a non-compatible chemical and that's for nematodes. All right. There's another chemical called Phenomephos. It's a highly toxic organic phosphate that's used for nematode control. not allowed to use. We have a new product called Flipperum. It's a softer product that we have to use now. All right. So there's a lot of yeah.
So Herman, just a question quickly. So with regards to that, who comes and does the checking? It's obviously it's people from the guys you sell for, right? Because
no, we have our no, the government's not involved in this. It must be very clear. The government's only involved in SARS, in the taxing. And what we have is we have our own company that buys our product, like the farmers. We own our, and we have personnel within the company that comes and checks on. We have agronomists that does this to help us, and they come and check in to see if you comply. So it's a very we're under very strict.
You have to comply, otherwise if one farmer, if you guys are like here's 10 farmers in this area and you guys all sell to the same guy, the guy's buying, if it comes on the other side and it's like, oh, you've used the wrong stuff, everyone loses the contract, right? So you can't risk that. You have to stick within those parameters that they set out for you.
Correct. One farmer can screw 80 other farmers. So
so you have to.
It's the same. It's the same as within the vegetable and also in the wine industry. The citrus industry has the same rules and regulations.
100%.
I just want to say something more. There is a thunderstorm currently in our area. So if I just suddenly go gone, that means the power went out. So within you look at the production cost in South Africa, and this is actually something I think we should need to touch on.
This was a question I was going to in a year's time, and until you because like you said, you plant and then you'll harvest and all of that. What does it cost you to do? I mean, I'm assuming, how big is your farm, like hectare wise? So how much does it cost you to grow per hectare?
So to grow tobacco in South Africa will cost you around 200,000 rand a hectare per year.
Jeez.
And your yield and your I want to say your profit off of that within on a hectare. So it costs you 200,000 to how much profit do you make off of that?
It depends on your quality.
Yeah.
It all depends on your quality of tobacco. Look, we grade it.
Maybe just run us through the process, because it's like AJ was saying there. It's not just the planting. It's first you got to prep the soil. And then you hoy the seeds, it grows, takes a year to grow, then you harvest, and then because you showed me you've got a whole a vibe where you cure it, you smoke it, that whole vibe, right? So
so it starts with your seedlings, all right? So either you make your own seedlings, or you use seedling trays for that, or you have a nursery that makes it. This year I'm not going to make my own seedlings this year. It's just I'm constrained this year. I cannot. I'm going to have a nursery make my seedlings this year. It's then around August you start prepping your soil. All right, so that's when you start plowing, ripping, breaking, and then we make ridges. We plant about between 16,000 to 17,200 plants per hectare. All right.
Just pause on that quickly. So wait, I'm just so I understand properly. Like, if you plant like a tobacco plant, once you harvest it, it's gone. It's out of the ground. You've got to plant. Oh, okay, I get it. It's almost like a cool,
you can't chop it and it will regrow.
It can't regrow. Okay. Got it.
So it's a once-off. One life cycle, it's gone. All right, so we plant. Then we have a very intense program that we follow for 10 weeks. All right, that we need to follow. That's your irrigation, your fertigation, your pesticides that you need to spray, making sure that you keep within the parameters of what was given to you. All right, you don't want to go outside of those parameters.
Yeah, of course not.
And this is all labor intensive. All right, you're working with for every 1 hectare, you need 2.5 people. Right. So I constantly have, because I'm doing 20 hectares, I have around 40 people constantly starting right through the year. So I don't even, even during winter time, we have other preparations, all right, that we do. Okay. So After week 10, we have to break out the flower of the plant, because you don't want the plant to push all the energy into the flowering and the seed production. You want it to grow into all the energy into the leaves.
Yeah.
All right. So at week 11, week 12, you start harvesting. You start taking 2 or 3 leaves at the bottom. So you harvest from the bottom up, right? And you will, depending on how many plants per hectare you have, that will mean how high or how many leaves you leave on a plant after you break out the flower. All right. We call it a topping action. All right. So you have about 17,200 plants like I have. I'll break out and leave 18 leaves on the plant. If you have less, it will, because you're aiming for around 300,000 to 320,000 leaves per hectare, right? And each leaf is handled by hand.
Hectic.
All right.
So why is it? Because in tobacco you have to. There's no like massive machinery to do that, or what?
No.
Like
they tried it in the United States and it wasn't successful. All right, you can't.
Why is it? Because
a
it's
machine.
Delicate.
No, a machine can't judge when a tobacco leaf is right for harvesting.
Okay,
it's a skill. So, that's the thing that people don't understand in South African agriculture, is that the amount of energy and time we put into people to teach them skills.
Yeah.
All right. It's not just the cost per hectare, but it's also the human cost that we are putting in.
Intensive. Yeah, no.
It's of cost. Yeah. So it's training. Sometimes, before I start planting, I take half a day to 1 day to make sure that my teams that are planting the tobacco are trained and knowing what they are each one have to do.
Yeah.
And then when they plant, when I'm not there, my father will be will be with the teams. All right.
Yeah.
Constantly checking, making sure. And
this
process.
It's not like I go to a classroom, I get quickly sorted out. It's a lifetime of learning and experiencing. This is what you look for. Blah, blah, blah.
All right. So after we've harvested the first tobacco, around February. Okay, we start in December. Usually, we'll start harvesting right through till the end of April, May. All right, that's mid-May is when I'll stop harvesting. Then my whole harvest is finished. All right, then I start preparing my fields for my wheat production. That's when I start planting wheat. So
hold on. So you can't just replant tobacco again. You've got to plant something.
You have to wait at least because of the diseases. There's certain root diseases and fungi and pathogens that attack the tobacco plants. You have to have a cycle. It's like the same as with tomatoes. Interesting enough, tobacco, potatoes, and tomatoes are all of the Solanaceae family. They are family of each other. So also the same pests that attack them if you find a pest that is attacking potatoes, it will attack tobacco or tomatoes as well. Just an interesting thought for your viewers out there. So once we've harvested, cured, then each those leaves are harvested by hand. It goes into the barns where we cure it for between 8 to 10 days. All right. After 10 days, we'll start taking it out. We'll pack, and Mork, I've showed you on a video what the shed looks like. Every farmer has a different way of packing away. We'll leave the tobacco there for at least a month to 2 months before we start sorting it. Now, I have a team of...
Is it low heat that you're doing it at?
No. Just normal room temperature. Normal.
But what do you say? You how does the vibe work with the? So wait, so you take the tobacco, you harvest it, you just leave it in a room to dry.
No, we put it in the barns for 8 to 10 days. We cure it. All right, it's called forced air curing, flue cured. That's why it's called flue cured. It's called forced air cured tobacco. So we're literally forcing the tobacco to be cured. Whereas in normal circumstances, tobacco that you would have harvested by hand and hanged it in a shed, it will take anything from 14 to 21 up to 30 days to cure. All right. Okay. So we've compressed that process into. There's a fly here that's irritating me. So we've compressed that into a very shorter window, with the tobacco bonds. And then we'll once it's dry, look, tobacco once it's dry is very brittle. So what we'll do is we'll add humidity. We'll put water into the bonds to humidify the air, make it softer, be able to handle. I'm going to freak out this line. Anyways, there's a fire around me that's irritating. So if you guys see me going like this and not reach, I don't.
It's not ghost. It's
so then we'll add a certain moisture, around 10-11% of moisture. You'll pack this tobacco into stacks, all right? Because you need it to lie for a while. Raw tobacco, in its sense, it's ugly. It's not looking good, and it also there's certain processes that it needs to finish. All right. From there, I will take it to my sorting room where I have a team that sorts each leaf by hand. By color. Yeah. It's sorted by color. Now, what the leaf, if it's a dark orange,
right?
Yeah. I'm telling you, I've had people saying, "Oh, this looks easy," and I said to them, "Okay, sort some tobacco."
Do they have
10 minutes?
Do they have like a color sheet?
No. It's a skill. I don't know how.
Insane. That's insane. What did you say? 18 leaves per plant, and how many hectare? How many leaves per plant per hectare?
Per hectare, between 300 and 320,000.
Mother of God! Jesus.
Holy shit! I've got another question, but I'll ask the question once you're done. Yeah, it's about cigarette. And, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so let's do a bit of a calculation here. So I've got 20 hectares, so roughly around 6.4 million leaves that will be handled this year on my farm. Roughly.
How long does that take?
And staff members, how many staffs do you got? How many staff members?
Yeah, I mean, like to sort 200,000.
Just the sorting.
How long does that take?
I have 8 people.
What?
My team is quite good. I must honestly say I have a very good team, and I'm very proud of them.
Sean, have you seen the videos of the people that roll cigars?
I was going to ask that, but I was going to ask that now. Like, that was my question.
Okay, my bad. 8 people doing. Holy shit, dude! How long does that take them?
They do about 5,000 kilos every 12 to 14 days.
Oh my god.
So those 8 people are sorting for like how long period? Because there's obviously that's only like at the end of the harvest after the sort of the curing. How long? Like, so is it like a month where they do that?
They start in February and they go up until end of July.
Because obviously, as you're still planting, they're now sorting out last year's and they start going through. Okay.
So basically,
Man,
it's sorting is a skill. That's you don't the color charts. There's no color chart that I can teach you. All right, it is you have to feel the thickness of the leaf.
Yeah,
you have to look at the color, and that can only be done with time and training. Right,
experience.
It's like frying up a good steak.
No, dude,
it's
like
you've got a rough idea, and by touch you'll know. Okay, this is good.
No, if I may ask you, Herman, what is like? So, what is the if say they've got what is that different grades of tobacco, the thickness, or like so you'll go cool if it's a little bit too brown, if it's
to explain it to you, at the bottom of your plant you'll have your lowest nicotine, thinnest tobacco, and smallest leaves will be at the bottom of your plant. All right. As you progress higher, the nicotine levels will increase. The leaf length and shape will change. All right. First of all, leaf length and shape changes as it goes until you get to your top 6 leaves. All right. Those are your highest quality and also your highest nicotine tobacco. All right. Because that's the leaves that has the most sun in it. Because they're sitting at the top, they're receiving the most sun. They're also the biggest. And that's where your weight and your quality lies.
Okay, so quality. This is a good place to ask my question. So obviously you're doing cigarette tobacco.
Yes.
You don't do any like I want to say cigar tobacco. No. Is there a difference in the two? cigar tobacco.
Cigar tobacco, yes, it's completely a different type of tobacco. It's a very small plant, actually. It's a very small plant and a very low yield. I think it's like 200 or 500 kilos per hectare.
That explains the price on it. That's why fucking
Yeah.
cigars are so
Is that why the cigars are so fucking expensive?
Yeah, it's a highly cigars tobacco is high in nicotine. I think it's like 8 or 10%, if I can remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
I mean, I've had the cigar. Like you can't inhale it. It's like it's not like a cigarette where you. It's like
no,
like it's.
and it's actually the nicotine that's burning your throat.
Yeah,
that's why you can't inhale it.
Have you tried doing? Obviously, I'm not sure if you could do in the climate that you're.
Yeah, it's like obviously it's climate dependent and.
Okay, all right.
Look, cigar tobacco. Certain
high humidity.
It needs a specific temperature or we call it weather situation. There's actually a specific word for that. Somebody in the chat help me. So you can't. They tried actually growing cigar tobacco in South Africa, I think in the Northern Natal, but it didn't work. So it's very. It's a very finicky tobacco as far as I know. I don't know much about it. But remember one thing, in South Africa, the moment you start processing tobacco, you need to pay excise duty on it. All right?
Sorry,
what? If I start the raw leaf as it is, it's considered raw, it's unprocessed. I can sell that without needing to pay any excise or sin tax on it.
Once without curing, just raw.
No. It's like after cured, sorted.
After cured, okay. All right.
I can sell it as is as a raw product, but the moment you start processing the leaf, meaning you start cutting it for purposes.
What's the processing? What's the processing process? Explain the process to us. Like after that, what before you ship it to the tobacco people, like the cigarette makers, what do you still have to do for it? What is that processing period?
So interesting enough, because of the different grades, every grade, as I explained to you throughout the plant, if you have a what we call a orange or a light orange color leaf, it will be it will have less nicotine and it will taste what's called a one-sided taste. When you go to your mahogany style, which is a darker, browner type of tobacco, it's got more oil in it. It's got a 2 or 3-sided flavor, meaning there's a different flavor pattern. And it's the same as with wine. There's different.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so what will happen is your buyer will, and we are very fortunate to have a factory in Rustenburg, where tobacco is then blended for the first stage of the blending. All right. Okay. It will go through a thrashing plant where they thrash it, and then thrash means look, in the tobacco leaf there's a stem in the middle. Right?
Oh, they take that out.
They take that out. It is just because you cannot use that stem directly into the cigarette manufacturing program. That stem will go into a different process where it's then softened, and then that's cut. All right. Then the moment that thrashed tobacco goes into what they call the cut rag phase, meaning it's cut into thin pieces, that's completely considered processed tobacco. And that's and that's where you're now walking into very dangerous grounds, because now you need to be SARS registered. SARS is checking you.
Oh shit.
Even in Rustenburg, SARS is constantly checking the amount of tobacco that comes in versus the amount that goes out. So it's to make sure that we are not.
Sorry. I remember you showed me the thing where you like the part or the process where you take the macadamian shells or whatever.
Yeah.
When does that process happen? Is that during the curing period?
That's during the curing process. So yeah.
So it's like you lay it and you pack it into the shed. What do you do? Like, how does that work though? How do you? Because it's drying. Is it during the drying period where what's it called?
The cure process. Let's call it the curing process. That's easier for people to understand. Okay, so what happens is we take the leaf from the field, we pack it into a racking system, and we load them into layers, into these containers. It looks like containers. All right. So at the front of the container, there's a heating unit, a kiln. It's a kiln. All right. So what will happen is we start at 36 degrees to 38 degrees. That is what we call the coloring phase, where you will look, even in the field, the leaf will look yellow. But once you put it into the barn, it still has a green pigmentation to it. So you need to have it go through a natural process where it changes to a yellow color. Once it's reached that yellow color, we go to the next phase called the color fixing phase. That happens between anything from 42 to 48 degrees. All right. Then we have the leaf cure. The leaf curing will take around, but also between 48 to 50 degrees Celsius. That's where you dry the leaf. Lately, we're drying our leaves at 48 degrees. It gives us a better quality. So, but the problem is, because of that stem in the middle, you need a very high temperature to remove that moisture, because it's thick and you need to get that moisture out.
Yeah, of course.
If there's still moisture in that and you take it to your shed, within a week it's rotten. It just gets moldy and it's rotten. So you go up to 70 degrees Celsius, and that's where the kiln comes in. So you have this control box that sits there. You constantly monitor your temperature within your tobacco barn, and so it's a daily process. So,
but it's also like that. That's got to, like, obviously your tobacco barn has to have like you have to have airflow kind of sorted.
Yes,
so
we have huge fans. We have huge fans that circulates the air from inside. So it's in the beginning, it's a closed loop system. Oh, for Pete's sake!
Good one, AJM. That's cock funny.
I wouldn't put it past somebody to somewhere along the line put that type of thing on. Okay, so it's in the first 3 to 4 days, you have what we call a closed loop system. So the air is just circulating because you need a high humidity. The moment we start going up to color fixing and curing of the leaf, we have what we call a ventilation shaft that we open, and we start sucking in air. So because we need to remove the moisture as fast as possible. All right, so we have these huge fans inside the barns that are doing the circulation for us. And then of course we have the kiln that has the heating side, that the air then flows over the kiln on the inside.
And so once that process is sorted, it's been sorted, all that stuff, then you guys ship it off to the place where it gets thrashed, right?
Yeah.
Now is that like you guys does that work like a callet, almost like, because all the farmers in, like, because how I understand the wine vibe is a whole bunch of farmers all kind of chip in together.
It's like a co-op system.
Yeah, like a co-op system where everybody you have to provide X amount of harvest each year, yada yada yada. And then but like now you said with the thrashing, that's where SARS comes in. So does that co-op need to have the license then to process tobacco?
Yes.
And what do you get? Do you guys, does that co-op get charged like syntax?
No, I don't. To be quite honest, Mork, that's the one division that I don't get involved in.
Oh, you don't.
That is
why
why
you have to involve. Yeah.
That's why we have a CEO and directors. That's their worries. They run that. But look, SARS are intensely checking on what's going on within our industry. That's as a farmer, I always say to people, there's so many things that we need to stress about and worry about. That is why we have this company called LTP that buys our tobacco. They make sure that we have a buyer. They will come back and tell us what we need, and I'm glad and thankful for our CEO and the directors that are handling this, because If I have to go and do my own marketing, like in Zimbabwe, I'm telling you, I think I would be cutting my or hanging myself or doing something very, very stupid.
Of course, dude. It's because it's like, but I mean, half the time you're going to spend doing that. But like, just a question on the leaves vibe. So like, so you said like the top leaves are more for, so like, if you had where would I find I smoke Stuyvesant. What part of the leaf do they use?
There's different blends. Each manufacturer, it's like blending whiskey. All right.
Oh, okay. So they use a bit of the top leaf, a bit of the middle leaf,
a bit of this, a bit of the. So, and each blender or company will have a blender, a specialized person.
It's like a winemaker. Yeah.
Yeah. And that blend will be kept by that company. So they will have codes that nobody outside understands. They know exactly which grades. And that is why they will never, ever blend the whole blend of for Peter Stuyvesant, let's say, for instance, take that in one place. Although they might do it, but we won't know.
Wait, but we won't know. So if I've got this correct,
so when
no, of course. But so if I understand this correctly, so when you send your harvest and they come back to you and you go, okay, cool, well, you've got like, what is it, like 3 or 4 different kind of, because I know with wine, it's like you've got A grade, B grade on like white, like a Sauvignon Blanc or something. Does that same thing, so you like your top leaf is like the one that you said is the most expensive, is the most valued.
But it can also be crap.
Yeah, but I mean, you get paid on the rating of like, so your top leaf was like this amount, like it was some of them had to like, because not everything's going to pass, because they look at it and go, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. So you can get a 50 kg box that brings in 5,000 Rand.
Okay.
Right. The next one might be a top leaf as well, because you harvested it too early or too late, so there's also that thing where if you harvest too early, that same box can go for 500 Rand. So that can happen as well. So it's but
that's the same as imagine, like, because I've had it with my uncle where he goes like he does citrus, and then like 2 weeks before they're about to harvest, it rains, and then all of a sudden the Nachis or whatever, they've got this funny dot on. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a visual thing, and then and he gets half the price for it. It's just like he's fucked now. Like you're gone. Your entire harvest goes for like juicing. Whole year's work gone in the same mood.
That's the thing. Funny enough, in the citrus, if they find those black spots on your export, they don't export it. Then it goes straight to juice for juice, and you don't get. There's not really like money.
A quarter. There's almost no money in it. It's insane. It's because I remember with his wine as well. They would like just before they're about to like harvest, they'd get the guy to come out every like 3rd or 4th day, and he'd come measure it and then go, okay, this is going to be a good Sauvignon Blanc. This is going, check the sugar level in the grape, and dude, it's next level insane.
So for us, it's the same as for us. For instance, once you've sold your tobacco, your nicotine levels are tested as well. So we get a report after every delivery that we've done, and they check: are you high? Are you low nicotine? Are you in the center?
And that affects price. That also affects price, right?
Oh, it will because it does. It does. Okay. We lose money eventually. There's a lot of factors within.
Then of course, but I mean, like for Herman, for example, if there was a sudden cold front while you're curing, or like just before you cure, that's going to affect your entire fucking
quality,
harvest, right? The quality of that could mean like 5,000. You can now I'm only going to get 2 because there was a rainstorm or some shit that happens before.
Like last year, what happened last year in transition we started in early January, it started raining. All right. So by mid-Feb, we had like 400 mils in 3-4 days. Right. I couldn't get into my field to harvest, and I was running on very thin. So I was running around trying to find barns where I can that was standing in our area that wasn't used. So lucky enough, the one farmer had 2 tobacco barns I had to spend I had to fix a little bit on them, but he was very accommodating. I'm telling you, at that stage when I asked him, I was like, please help me. And he's like, please come. I can see you're in trouble. So I lost, Mork, I can't remember. I think I lost about anything to 1,000 kgs per hectare. All right. So just because of too much rain, and what happened there was I couldn't harvest fast enough. So these plants just started dying. The leaves started dying off. I harvested what I could. And lucky enough, my quality wasn't too bad. But some of the farmers in our area really had a big problem with their quality.
No, of course. No,
and
of course.
What happens is your average, because we work on a seasonal average price. And the average price just started nosediving. And there's nothing you can do. There's absolutely
it's nature
nothing
of the game, eh?
we can do. But, as much as these shakeups happen, within my industry, diesel, and I just had a look here at the oil price, funny enough, because I have it open on my screen.
Now, isn't there a price increase coming or something?
I don't know. You know what, Mork? It's I think we have to wait another 2 weeks. Let's first see what happens in the Middle East.
I mean, that diesel price, that diesel price that increased, that affects you guys, because I remember you were chatting
directly.
To me, you said that it affects you directly, but also like the whole vibe, the thing with Iran, fertilizer, what's the element in fertilizer? Nitrogen at major, so that's doubles the cost. It could reduce production by, I think you gave me the stats the other day, like 20%, 15 to 25%,
20 to 30%
on yield
of our yield.
Fuck, that's
so
hectic.
What people must understand, and this is for the consumers, more to the consumer side of what facing in agriculture in South Africa is when you walk into Woolies, Pick n Pay, Spar, Checkers, or wherever, you buy your vegetables or your product, right? The value chain that product or your cigarettes, the value chain it came through, all right, is affected directly on what is happening in the international market, all right?
Of course. Yeah.
So a spike in diesel price, for instance, it affected the price of getting that product to the shelf.
To the market, of course.
So So no business in South Africa, they will recuperate. Everybody will recuperate their loss, all right? So if it cost him 10 Rand to move that cabbage from Pretoria to Cape Town, to have it sold in Cape Town, you are, as a consumer, are going to pay that 10 Rand.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right. So,
but I think the issue I have with that is like you'll see like the price of petrol go up, the price goes up, but you know what? Like, and then the only thing is with vegetables, everything else, like it goes up and it never comes back down. That's the problem.
That's inflation. Shit. Yeah, but that's the problem of inflation.
That's another issue. Yeah, is inflation. Yeah.
Because people always think, Mork, that in the like what happens now, all right, we'll have this huge skyrocketing of an inflation in input cost on farm side. It will affect the consumer, all right, but once a price is inflated, it doesn't deflate like a balloon
immediately.
It doesn't immediately. It takes time. Let's start at COVID. What happened with lockdown? All right, it screwed the pooch. Lockdown screwed the pooch, literally, because suddenly we were restricted with all these things, and although the fuel price came down, inflation started climbing. All right. Then came the Russia-Ukraine war. All right. The world went into a hell of a panic, suddenly realizing, and boom, everything skyrocketed. We only started recovering. Look, last year was the first time when we started cutting our interest rates. All right, it was only last year. If you think of it clearly, it started in 2000. 2002. So inflation happens because the cost of borrowing money. All right.
Yeah.
Bring me a business that's not running on debt in South Africa.
it's almost impossible not to.
Yeah. So that the cost of borrowing increases, the cost of fuel, the input cost. All right. Plus Eskom.
Yeah, dude.
It's increasing. So all of these factors are going to play, and I foresee what will happening. James say we don't like boot screwing around here. Please go tell that to the people in the Middle East. All right. So so what we will see now, and here's a concern in South Africa for you, for us as farmers and
consumers as well, because obviously end
these
users
are,
will get affected as well.
Fuel is one thing. All right, we can source fuel from other parts in the world. All right, I don't foresee South Africa running out of fuel. Although we might get, if let's say worst case scenario, Strait of Hormuz stays properly closed. All right, we will never run out of fuel in South Africa. We might see fuel restrictions at the worst case, but we will be affected by what's happening with the oil price, and that will determine our under or over recovery on fuel. So if we're going to 35, 40 Rand a litre, or we're going to stay at 26 Rand a litre. What will happen in April with the oil price, we don't know. All right. I think we've seen it now in the past 2 weeks. Oil price going down to 96, and the next morning it's up at $110. But what will happen is fertilizer, because a large contingent of urea and ammonium sulfate and ammonium nitrate that's used in South Africa as fertilizer compounds comes from the Middle East. I think it's up to 30%. All right. All right. Now, here's the thing. Okay. Now everybody says, okay, no, but still we don't have a problem. We can source from China and Russia, and we can source from Norway. The problem is the rest of the world is also dependent on that same fertilizer. So now it becomes a bidding war.
Yeah, now the price goes up, obviously.
The price goes up.
Yeah, because
we started in, I remember I foresaw something, I foresaw this fertilizer price jump, and I foresaw that we're going to run into a shortage in the mid of March.
Yeah.
So I bought my urea and my fertilizer for at least to have my first tobacco crop that I have fertilizer. I paid 11,400 Rand a ton for urea.
Yeah.
It's exactly a month later. That same ton of urea, I can sell it now for 15,800 Rand a ton.
Jesus, that's like
all right. So let's get 30, down.
30% markup on the 35% markup. That's insane.
Okay. Yeah. So when you budget, all right, for your season, you look at what the current price is, and you hope for stability. And you might, what I usually do is I say, okay, at worst case scenario, let's take inflation plus 7%. Yeah. I say, all right, that would give me around 11%. All right. I say, or the best, one of my friends told me, said, what is the rate that you borrow at your money from the bank? Let's say prime plus 1, meaning 10 or 11%.
Yeah.
That will be your margin. So if you buy it for 10 Rand, add 10 or 11% to that price.
Yeah.
To budget.
Just to budget, right.
Yeah, that's your budget. All right. If
it goes below, that's like a normal year, right?
Yeah, that's a stable year. So you budget for that. If it goes below the 10 Rand, if it goes to 9, 8 Rand, you score. But if it goes to 11 Rand, you budgeted for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So you need to be very concise and with all your things. Fuel, diesel, jumped, boom.
Yeah, no, dude.
Way above.
And there's no way you could have budgeted for that, right?
No, nobody.
It's extreme circumstances.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But here's the thing.
Like, dude, farming is not easy. No way is it easy.
What will happen now is, and what we will see now, if we start getting, at this stage, we still have fertilizer from ships that was going through Hormuz and from the rest of the world. We're still inbound to South Africa.
Yeah. Whistler shared this little infographic with showing it's like 2 months. it takes, you know.
It takes about 2 months. So
Yeah.
that fertilizer is still arriving in South Africa. So, but the problem is all the fertilizer are connected to the Black Sea spot price.
Exactly.
Right.
So even though it was on its way, the price is now shot up.
Yeah, but he could have bought that urea at 400 rands a ton.
Yeah.
The problem is if he buys it at the new load or new shipment, all right, even if it's from Norway or wherever in the world, it will be at the Black Sea spot price at that day. So that's $700 per ton.
That's double. That's double. So this year, some O's aren't even going to make a profit on like a return on investment on their entire like year's planning.
Yeah. So what will happen is instead of not going full out, all right, let's say you need about 200 kgs of nitrogen on a wheat harvest. All right. I don't have the money to put down 200 kgs. I'm going to cut down to around 120 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, which means I'm cutting down 80%. So what we will have is we'll see a reduction in your yield on your harvests. If the big companies that are buying vegetables are not going to come to the table, on your contract farming, to come to the table and say, listen here, this is the reality. We know that these prices have spiked. They have done, and I must honestly say, there are companies in South Africa that are looking after the farmers. Not all of them are bad. You know, people are making out that farmers, but even with that, it will be the consumer that pays in the end.
Yeah, I mean, like,
we might see even if we have a reduction of 30% of possible, and that is worst case scenario, all right? We don't know what will happen in the next 2 to 3 months within the Middle East, all right? But if we get to the point where we will have fuel restrictions, then it's going to be Wild West.
Yeah.
Because diesel is not regulated, and this is what people must understand. Petrol is regulated, meaning if the government says 22 rand a liter, you are not allowed to sell it above that.
Okay.
Finish and clear.
But diesel,
it's different because it's not regulated by government. Government can say what the price inland might be. Let's say 26 rand 50 according to calculations. All right. Your seller, if he has 100 liters and it comes to a bidding war between the three of us,
he can decide.
He tells you 32, and I come in and I say 35, and Sean and Darth says, hey guys, I've got 40 rands a liter.
Yeah.
It will become 40 rand a liter.
Hectic. Okay.
It's open. It's capitalist open market system with diesel, and that's what we've seen. That's what happened in end of March, where people started hiking diesel price before the official announcement by the Central Energy Fund. All right.
Hectic.
So that is all things that can come into play when we look at agriculture. I pray it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. Because
hopefully hopefully the shit in the Middle East gets sorted out, the strait gets open,
fast.
And there's no
fast.
Because the longer it takes, the higher the more it's going to start costing people.
Yeah. The thing is, if you look at everything that the South African farmer has to comply with within agriculture, we have our labor laws. You start with the labor laws. Now, labor. We have very strict rules and regulations on our agri-chemicals. We have 110 other small things that are impacting directly on our industry. FMD for the cattle farmers. We have disease outbreaks. There's a moth called Tuta absoluta. Although we're at a point where we are controlling it in South Africa, that thing causes, if it gets into your tomato plants, it causes a havoc and it destroys a crop within a week. We have whitefly. If that thing gets into your tobacco or tomato crop and you can't control it, it's gone. Right. So the maize, the guys have commando worm. There's a specific one. I can't remember its name now. If that thing gets into your crop, there's very little chemicals. Fall armyworm. All right, that's another breakout that we have. Fall armyworm. If those things break out and you can't spray it fast enough, control it, it's gone. I've seen maize fields in my day that had fall armyworm and caterpillar breakouts that destroyed a crop within a matter of 2 to 3 days. People are saying you're crazy. Grasshoppers. Somewhere I've seen videos and that was back in the 80s. All right, these were in the 80s, where these swarms of grasshoppers will come in, and when they go away, not a one leaf or blade of grass left. All right, so we have all these things that we as farmers in South Africa consider. We don't have a government that is giving us any rebates. Okay, we have a diesel rebate, which we are thankful for. But we're not sponsored by the government on taxation. I still have to pay my taxes.
Yeah, you have a cuck month. They don't go, okay, listen, we're going to give you a discount here.
No. So whatever happens,
that's insane.
In Europe, the UK and America, if they have depends probably on, I think in America, it depends on which state you are in. But you get a grant system. It's basically getting grants. All right.
Yeah. So, I've heard of the vibe, the infrastructure in America. There's a different story, bro.
In Europe is as well. If you comply with certain rules and regulations, the European Union gives you money.
Dude, what's that show, Dashon? What's that show with the guy from Top Gear?
Jeremy Clarkson's farm. Yeah.
Bro,
they get paid.
They get paid so
much
money. This doesn't happen in South Africa, right?
But here's my question, all right? Just to give you guys the idea of how resilient our farmers are in South Africa and why I'm so positive and amped up to be part of organized agriculture. If you look at the margin, the thin margin, and I think it's in Clarkson's farm season 1. Yeah. I think he made like a few pounds.
10,000 pounds, like 5,000 pounds or something his first year, just nothing.
Yeah, it was like, I was looking at this and I'm like, you made that amount of money. So your profit margin wasn't even 1%.
No, nothing. Yeah, exactly. It's the amount of money you learn. It's not even worth doing it.
Yeah, with the amount of money you got from the government. Yeah. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, for Peep's sake, can I have that money? But
no, it's next level, dude.
Look at the tractors these guys are driving.
No, dude, I literally, I watched it with my uncle and I was showing him, he's going the gear, the stuff that they get, the help, the infrastructure that government provides. Bro.
Look at all the equipment. Let's talk about Clarkson's farm. All the equipment on that farm is rented. I can't afford renting. How do you make money? Because the government is paying for you. So if we have that same commitment, let's take in South Africa alone, if the government subsidizes only the fertilizer, how many more people can I employ on my farm?
Yeah.
All right. If government just subsidizes, let's take vegetables. Let's forget about tobacco, because tobacco is the dog, the underdog. Yeah, that's true. I know it's true. It's wrong, but I'm going to do it. I enjoy it. If we look at vegetables, some of the seeds like peppers, let's take peppers.
Yeah.
Peppers, I think I can't remember, but I think it's like 2-3 rand a seed. All right.
Yeah.
Onions. I think it's like 50,000 rand a kilo for onion seeds. Right. If government is just in a simple way subsidizes seed, fertilizer,
or even just give you a tax,
Here's a
tax
kicker.
deduction because you're feeding the nation. Like, wouldn't
Yes, but they're not. Here's a kicker. They are willing to pay 2,000 Rand SASSA grants. All right? To people who are sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah. No.
Give
100%.
me that 2,000 Rand and tell me to employ people.
Yeah.
So for every South African with an ID number that I employ, they
You
will
get
give
like-
me
yeah.
2,000 Rand. Which means taking the current minimum wage, all right, it will cost me around 3,800 Rand a month to employ a person, where it's now nearly 6,000 Rand a month.
Yeah.
All right. So that means in the end, I can employ more people on my budget. I'm taking this, for instance, not paying the SASSA grants directly to your people on sitting at home. We have a problem in South Africa, right? And this is not just the agriculture problem. This is actually a broader problem. And I think, I don't know if Ronaldo is still listening, but I think he can actually talk a bit more about this. The problem with SASSA grants, I'm not talking about people above the age of 65.
Yeah. You're talking about no.
That-
Like the
I'm
COVID
talking
grant,
about
350, the fucking
the 350 and
All the other
some
ones,
of these people, these extra grants, sitting at home, 2,000 Rand a month, whatever.
They're scamming the system.
They're
We all know
scamming the
this,
system. The problem is that person is not going to come and work on a farm.
No, of course not.
Because why must he stand in the sun, do physical labor,
When you can get free money. Exactly.
when he can sit at home or maybe go do loose jobs, stand on the corner, cut your grass, get 250, 300 Rand and go and smoke nyalpe. Grab bushes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, that's true.
Herman, sorry, guys.
No, I
need
don't
to-
want to do. Sorry, I don't want to do prison laborers. Thank you. In South Africa, my whole farm will be in the. By the next morning, my whole farm will be. I have to go and look for my farm in the prison.
So, guys, I've only had like 2 hours of sleep last night, but
Yeah, I
before
think.
go,
Listen, we've got
I
to.
have
I've
one
got to-
question quickly.
Fuck,
Just
man,
one
I've got to-
last
We've got to end
question.
it, yeah.
Whoa,
Ask
look
a
at the
question
time.
and then you can
Yeah.
answer it, and then
what
we can
what
we can
is
call it.
what is the I want to say the base cigarette to get? Your opinion?
The best
I
cigarette.
smoke Kent.
Okay, Kent.
Look,
Okay.
if I have to choose, I'll choose Davison Blue or
Yeah.
Kent.
Okay.
It's once again, it depends on. It's like
That's
a
a
good
taste, yeah.
wine.
What do you smoke, Joshua?
What?
Marlboro.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
wait, so
I have
Too hard
I
for
want-
me.
I've got one question. So, like with the toasted tobacco, like with Camels, what is that a different tobacco? Or is that just a different blending that makes it
It's
toasted?
different tobacco, different blending. So
okay.
yeah, it's if once you start talking to the blenders, the guys who actually blend these cigarettes, man, it's amazing if they start telling you about the flavors. And
Yeah.
we've had the opportunity where they will have us some of the test cigarettes and we can smoke it, and you smoke it and then you start getting, okay, now I understand, right, what the flavors are. All right. So I will smoke a Marlboro and I won't like the taste because for me it's too heavy. I don't like it. But another guy will smoke a Kent. He will smoke a Kent and go, I don't like it.
Yeah.
So it's like wine and whiskey. It's the same as whiskey.
It's like your taste profile,
It's the same with
Um,
yours. Like I'm not a big fan of yours, Peter Stuyvesant's. I don't mind
Yeah.
it, but it's not for me.
It's
I
not
prefer
your flavor
the Marlboro.
profile, yeah.
100%. It's interesting.
You know what?
Dude.
You know what happened where that my flavor profile went out of the fucking window was when I
fucking
couldn't get
COVID.
any cigarettes. Yeah,
Yeah.
COVID. I was just like, I remember at one
yeah.
stage I bought. What did I bought? I bought like I don't know what it was, like one of those bullshit cigarettes. I think I
Kaliva,
paid
was it?
200 rand, 220 rand a pack, and I was going like, this
Yeah.
is bullshit.
It was grass. I swear, some of these cigarettes,
Right.
I think they went outside and just cut grass
Bro,
and
it
just
was
stuffed it in there.
terrible.
I remember somebody, I bought a stack. Like my whole cupboard here was packed with cigarettes.
But couldn't you just go out to the back and roll them? Like,
dude, that's the thing with tobacco, is that it needs to go through that whole process to actually get the flavor. So I had people actually come to me and during lockdown, and they're like, all right, I want some tobacco. And I said, oh, yeah, you can have. I'm not selling. I'll give you a kilo or two. It's not going to kill me.
Yeah.
And then a month later, they're like, oh, no. I've tried that. I can't get the smoke. I'm like, dude, it's because you need to blend it.
Yeah,
and they've tried all types of stuff, adding vanilla and molasses. And I'm like, so I've heard the most craziest recipes from people during lockdown about how they're going to use this tobacco and smoke it. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, no, thank you. But anyways, there's one guy came to visit me, and he had these cheap knockoff cigarettes, illegals, and he gave me one. I'm like, dude, what is in this?
I remember it was the worst thing ever, because that taste you wouldn't get out of your mouth. It was, it's so disgusting. But like at the same time, you want the nicotine fix, and it's just like it was. Yeah. Oh, it was hell. I would if they mention it now, I'll just go to the shop and buy like fucking a year's supply, just because.
Yeah, you take your whole 2 months, 3 months salary and just stack everything in there.
Yeah,
you're probably going to make. I don't think we'll ever see Mork. Just on a final note, I don't ever think we'll ever see lockdowns again. And this is something
I agree with you.
If we take, and this is just to in closing argument, if you look at the FMD situation in South Africa, there's a rough estimate that 90% of cases are not reported.
Yeah.
All right. Pre-COVID, all the cases were reported. After COVID, none. Because of lockdown, quarantine, stay at home, it had a psychological impact. And this is my opinion. I'm not saying it's true. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
Lockdown had a psychological impact on people when it comes to regard to quarantine. The word quarantine is a swear word that has a deep psychological. I had to stay at home. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't earn money. I had to do. Forced to do things I didn't want to do. I couldn't go with my chummy. We had to take back roads around this area. We took back roads. And the nice thing about the farming in the area, a lot of people came to my game farm, and they just camped out every 2-3 days, and we'll just have a huge braai. And none of us freaking died of COVID or got sick. Yeah. That's the funny part. We never got sick.
Yeah, because that wasn't the thing.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and I think because of that, farmers are scared when they heard quarantine. Report, because if you had COVID or you had flu, you had to go to and report.
Yeah.
All right. And you were tested with a PCR test, and you were put into isolation. You can't touch anybody. That fear, I think, psychologically has transferred into the farmers, and that's why we are seeing the problem that farmers are not reporting FMD cases. I think if this has happened prior to lockdown, we would have seen a major escalation in price in reports, and I think we would have seen a much better reaction from government. Can see me. I think we would have seen a much better reaction from government with regards to vaccines. Lockdown also had a big issue when it came to the COVID-19 vaccines. There were big issues.
Yeah.
A lot of jigga. A lot of people bought their vaccination cards. All right.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember. Like I knew loads of people who got like fake things to like.
And it was mine was legal.
Yeah.
If you locked me into the system, I was vaccinated.
Yeah, no, they were like legit. There was like there were fake ones that you'd go. There were doctors were helping out, and I was going like,
Yeah.
Good. Fuck them. Fuck
And
them.
I had to travel, so I chose
Yeah.
screw this. But that's the thing that we are seeing now. I think with the government deteriorating and everything, and this reaction is that a lot of problems I think we are seeing in South Africa is still a psychological knockback to being cooped up in our houses for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And I don't think we fully understand, if we are going to go into a crisis, let's say a fuel crisis or whatever can come with this war in the Middle East, are our people psychologically ready in South Africa? And I don't know if you know people who are able to talk about this. Are we psychologically ready in South Africa to be able to take a punch? Farmers, I'm telling you now,
not again. People will go. They won't be able to try. I don't think they'll pull it off again. And people just go like, you can go get. After everything we heard about the truth coming out, people just go like, hey, listen, get this time. You can go jump off a cliff.
Well, and we see it now with FMD. People are saying, go F yourself.
Exactly, because it's going like, I'm not going to, because I don't want to, it's just, you fucked it up the first time. We don't trust you this time around. That's just how it is.
No.
Okay, Mark,
He's making petrol from pot. Yeah, I'm going to go to bed as well. I have a long day ahead of me, Mork. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Guys, please go follow Herman here. I'll pop his link at the bottom here below. Please go follow Herman if you haven't. Herman, thank you so much. We'll get you back another time. It was really awesome chatting to you, dude. Really appreciate the insight into the farming, agriculture, your perspective on it.
Just
absolutely
the tobacco
amazing
stuff was.
Yeah,
I love the tobacco stuff, dude. Like just learning. It's like welcome to the learning channel. That's awesome, dude. It's nice having a conversation.
Yeah, and you're more than welcome to invite me again.
Anytime,
if your viewers, if your viewers wants me back on, I will be available. Yeah. Let's see.
I get to call this. This is my show. It doesn't say the Viewer Rock Show. It says the Mork Rock Show. I'm kidding. If you guys dug him, I'll definitely get him back. But I'll get him back anyway, even if you didn't like him. Fuck you guys.
Couldn't care. I have enough problems of my own, so I couldn't care. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, dude. Really appreciate it, dude. Awesome, man. Have a nice evening.
Keep well. Okay.
Cheers, guys. Also, chat, thank you so much for joining us and hanging out. We'll see you guys later. Cheers. Bye.